Did we come across any questions that you'd like me to go over? Yeah.
Can you explain how to interpret the median in context?
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So which one are we looking at?
Well, there's one on both sides.
Both? Okay. All right. So it looks like number 4. Am I on the right page? It says interpret the median. Okay.
For 1/6.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm on worksheet 1.6. Yeah. All right. It says interpret the median in context. Explain what the median measures. So, as far as this goes, how many scores do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We have 20. So there's a total of 20 scores that are on this list. Agree? And I just counted the dots. I mean, it's as official as that. Okay, so how do you find the median when you have an even amount of data? What do you think? Yeah, you're going to take your two middle numbers. So you're going to take the 9th and the 10th score, whatever those might be, and you'll divide by 2 to get the median. Now, it's not 9 and 10 necessarily. So I'm going to count on my data. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay. So the nice thing is I have 10.4. That should be plus 10.4 divided by 2. Okay, those of you who had a hard time in CP Algebra 1, this is definitely an answer you can answer. What's 10.4 plus 10.4 divided by 2? Yay, okay. All right, so 10.4. All right, so this is our median as far as the data goes. So in the context of the problem, our middle time for the 100-meter sprint, our middle time, our median time, is 10.4 seconds. So again, sometimes that middle piece of information might be good. The nice thing about the median, again, it's not impacted by things that are on the outskirts of our thing called outliers. Okay, the mean is influenced by outliers. So if we wanted to find the mean of this, as far as number 3, the mean is going to be a little bit different because that score of 11, and I realize that you're talking about tenths of seconds, so it's that 11 seconds is not that far outside of it, but as far as when you look at the data, but we'll go with that. Did I help you on that question?
Yeah.
The median score is the middle piece of data for our 100-meter sprint, which would be 10.4 seconds. So that means that also means that half of my scores are below that and half of my scores are above that. But we don't know how far below and above they are. We just know that we're in the middle of it. Okay. Number 5, I just want to look at that real quick. It says a percentile is the percentage of data that lies below a certain value. Find the percentile score of 10.4. Well, 10.4 was our median, so we know that we are at the 50th percentile, the halfway mark, because percentiles only go up to 100%. So we're at the halfway mark for our data. Okay, and then was there another one that had? Okay. Was there another one that you wanted to see on median? I'm sorry. Was it number?
There was one for both of the data sets.
Okay. Are you okay with the other one, or do you? Okay, sure. Any others you want to talk about? Yeah.
Wait, can we go back to 5?
5, sure. 5. The percentile?
Yeah. I got 40% because I did all the values that are lower than 10.4.
Oh, okay. Okay, so do this with a percentile. It's going to be done the same thing as a median, and it's actually make more sense after Friday's thing. A percentile, think of it as, think of all your data as from 0 to 100%. And then a percentile is where our data would fall. So like on this particular one that we just did, we had a median of 10.4. So if I said what percentile is 10.4 at, it's at the 50th percentile because the median is at the 50th percentile. It's at the halfway mark of our data.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Glad I could offer you a plug for your phone. Does that one work? One of those plugs over there doesn't work. Is yours charging from that? Okay. Maybe it's. And maybe that one might not work. I don't know. According to my freshman last year. But they were freshmen, so they haven't figured that out yet. What else do we got? Okay, so we're gonna, what are we gonna plan? Today is Tuesday, so we're gonna kind of look at the review. Tomorrow it's a shortened period, so we're gonna roll the dice on. We should be okay in this class because we would have this class before that assembly, right?
But is the assembly schedule messed up?
It's
Shorten the period
short-
even more?
Yeah.
So we
So
don't.
it's a short.
Or it's a short period. It's already a short period because of a Wednesday. Then it gets even shorter.
Yes, sir. We're going to assembly during the
Yes, I believe so. I believe so.
Because, yes, so technically it's optional, but they're making us go during advisory, so that way none of us are ready.
Hey, seniors, you've got to figure out something fun to do during the assembly, like, throw toilet paper, water balloons. Just throw some ideas. And also, someone's hucking toilet papers, like, where's your water? Like, yeah.
That's only during the English class.
There's all school assembly is supplemental, right? I don't know. It's because people
Tomorrow is supposed to be about.
Yes.
It's true, yeah. Okay, but they're gonna make us, they're making everybody sit. Saying it's optional. Yeah. Right, I'm the script.
I don't even play sports.
No, I don't.
All I know is like first, second. Yes. Cool. All right. So let's kind of undo my magnet. So let's kind of take a look at pages 111 and 112. They are a review, but let's talk about them. Now, I will say Mr. Anderson was kind of mean on page 111. Yeah, because that's like 0.1 font.
Yeah.
Now, I got 3 different lenses in these glasses here. My trifocals aren't working. Can someone go over to biology, get us a microscope so we can... I mean, this hurts my face to try and... I'm sure it's wonderful data. But my friends, I can make out like a number for periodically. All right, so create a histogram on the ages of the U.S. presidents at inauguration. Okay. So granted, I can't really. Can anyone read that data? Can you read going down? Can anyone read me the ages going down just so I know? Your eyes are good enough to see that? Okay, do the best you can.
Okay, 57, 61, 57, 57, 58, 57, 61, 54, 60, 51, 49, 64, 50, 48, 65, 52, 56, 46, 54, 45, 51, 47, 55, 55, 54, 42, 51, 58, 55, 51, 54, 51, 60, 62, 43, 55, 50, 61, 52, 62, I think, 69, 64, 46, 54, 47.
47. Okay. All right. While I have that up there, somebody take your phone, take a picture of that, please, because you're going to read me the exact same data. Now that we have a good data set, because I'm going to go to the graphic calculator with it, but somebody take a picture of that on the screen for me. All right, and this is going to be the most interesting part of the whole class. Someone gets to recite to me that, but hang on, let me get my calculator up. Come on, open up. Yay. Hopefully this is the right one. I have two different ones, and I hope this is the correct one. I had a 50-50 shot at guessing the right one that has the licensing on it. Okay. Stat, edit. I don't have anything in the list. Great. Doesn't matter the order, but somebody read me what we had on the board. Go ahead.
We got 58, 55, 51, 54, 51, 60, 62, 43, 55, 59, 54.
Oh, hang on. I made a mistake. Before 55, I had is it just 43?
Before what?
62, then 43?
Yep.
And then I went to 55, and then 69.
Mm-hmm.
And what's after 69, my friend?
54.
54?
45, 51, 47, 55, 55 again, 54, 52.
54. Oh, I made a mistake. Before the 255s, was it 44 or is it 47?
47.
All right. So 55, 55, 54. Go ahead.
42,
42,
51,
51,
50,
50,
54,
64,
47,
47,
57,
57,
61,
61,
57,
57,
57,
57 again,
58,
58,
57,
57,
61,
61.
54,
How much?
54,
54,
60,
60,
51,
61,
46,
46,
51,
51,
49,
49,
64,
64,
50,
50,
48,
48,
65,
65,
52,
52.
yep,
Okay.
56,
56,
46,
46,
52,
62,
54.
54. That's it?
Yep.
There's a 47.
Oh, there's 47 at the end? Okay. Oops. 47. All right. Now, so this, yes. It was 111. So it was one of the review pages. All right. So a couple of other things that your calculator do. And again, friends, if you're using the calculator during a quiz and you get stuck on something on the calculator, ask me. Okay? None of the math standards say the student will know how to plug in data into a graphing calculator. So if you get stuck on something on the calculator, let me know. If it's like, dude, it's not showing up. All right, so there's a couple things we could do with this. Let's see. If I go stat, if I go to number 2, and I go to second list 1, close the parentheses, hit enter. What that did for my data, and it's not imperative, but that made my data go from least to greatest. It resorted it for us. Okay? Now, the nice thing about doing that, it becomes a little bit better visual interpretation. Now, obviously, if this is sorted from smallest age to largest age, we don't necessarily know the order of the president's age, but I don't think we necessarily have that order anyhow because I had some goofy written list. Agreed? So let's, not knowing necessarily which president's which, Do we know anything about the data about what party the president was? No. So age doesn't necessarily reflect that they're one political party over the other, right? And boy, I wish we could get the political parties to work together, because I think all of us are suffering. I'm not blaming one political party over the other. I'm blaming the whole system right now. So when you all get to, was it 35 you have to be in order to run for president? Yeah. Anyone gonna run for president? I'll vote for you. I don't care what party you are. All right, you got my vote. Okay. Can you make me your Secretary of Education? Please.
Of course.
Yes! Oh, that's gonna be best. We're gonna change. We're gonna have lollipops and ice cream.
Lollipops and ice cream at the cafeteria.
Yes.
Free food.
All right, sweet. All right, so some information from this. We want to make a histogram based on this. All right, so if I make a histogram, I go into y equals. I want to make sure that's gone. Another way you can turn your data on is you can just hit plot 1 and it's on. But unfortunately, right now, we don't know which it's going to look like. So I'm going to go back into stat. I'm going to go into graph. Wait, where do I go? Stat? No, you could just be riding along. So what did I do? I haven't. All right, so I hit second y equals. My plot 1 is on, but right now it looks like it wants to graph it as a scatter plot. Well, we don't have two different variables, so a scatter plot won't work. So I'm going to go into stat plot, and I'm going to change it from the scatter plot, not the bar graph, but I'm going to go to the histogram. Okay? If I hit enter, we want list 1, and I'm going to hit zoom 9. So that kind of is a visual interpretation of how old each president was within a certain range. Okay? Now, I don't know for sure how my histogram was set up. I know that it's this right here, this corner is not 0, 0, because we didn't have any presidents that were age 0. Of course, we had presidents, not saying any parties, but we had some presidents that act like they're children. I'm not saying anything, though. I'm not saying who. I'm just saying some. Okay? So, again, I'm not trying to side with anybody. I'm not trying to upset anybody. I'm just trying to say that in my opinion is worth like 3 or 4 cents. Some have acted like children. And unfortunately, we have seen that. I'm sure you have seen that a little bit in your lifetime, and I'm sure that you have been impacted by something you've seen on social media. Okay, so should I change my window or not? I don't necessarily have to, but if we hit trace, if we hit our trace button, this first region here says from 42 to 46.5, we happen to have 5 presidents that fell between the ages of 42 to 46, roughly. Okay, we don't know which month it was, but from 42 to 46, we can dictate that because our data said, even though it says 46.5, we had 5 presidents that happened to be that age. And if I arrow over on the trace command, we had basically, and I know it says 46.5, so it's basically from age 47 to age 50, there was 7 presidents. And then if I arrow over one more time, we have 15 presidents that were 51 to 55. We had 7 presidents that happened to be 56 to 59, so less than 60, they say. We have 9 presidents that happen to be from age 60 to 64. And then we had 1 president who was 65 to 69. And then 1 president that was older than age 69. Now, this doesn't have the last 2 presidents. Okay, so
This is only for
this is only up to Obama. Okay, so I think it's kind of unique. So here's kind of a silly. I think it's kind of fun. So I had an anesthesiologist who used to speak during my medical class named Dr. Bruce Brookins. And he unfortunately no longer speaks, came down with Alzheimer's. And the sad thing is, the last time that he spoke, he came to me and said, Chris, you've seen me speak for years. Yes. Keep me on track because his Alzheimer's is, he wasn't practicing medicine any longer. Especially you don't want an anesthesiologist going, I can't remember if I injected this drug or not, so let's give it again. That would be a bad thing. But he was a very well-spoken person, and each time he spoke, he handed out a photocopy that passed around the room of a picture of when he went to his high school prom. His high school prom date was Hillary Clinton.
No.
Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah. It was hilarious because it was like, oh my gosh, and he's like, hey, don't discount who you know because they might one day try to run for president. And I'm not trying to support it one way or the other, but I thought it was kind of cool. And of course, I told him, I said, if she wins, my expectation is she comes to Cherry Creek High School and speaks to my medical class. And he's like, oh, well, and he said he often, up through the years I knew him, he often would go up to Vail for a weekend, and he and the Clintons and his family and the Clinton family would dine together. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's like, holy cow! Like whether I support the person or not, I'm not going to disclose that. I just say that it's pretty cool that here was a person who's speaking during my class who, when they say, hey, the whole 7 degrees of separation, realize this. I know Dr. Brookins. Dr. Brookins knows Hillary Clinton, who obviously knows the president. That's how close I am, and then you are 1 degree separation because you know me of knowing who the president is. Kind of crazy how that whole thing works. Now, again, I'm not trying to support one or the other. I'm trying to be, politically not biased at all. I mean, my opinion on anything is, if you do what's best for people, you should be a public official. If you don't do what's best for people, you might not want to run public office, but that's my whole thing. And I'm not trying to side anyway, which way or other. But this basically is our histogram based on this. Find the mean and the median ages of presidents. Here's the nice thing on the calculator. We have our data in. Now we're missing the last 2 presidents, and that's fine. But if you go back in on your calculator and you hit stat, and you go over to calculate, you want the one variable statistics because we have only one variable we're talking about, the age of presidents. So if you hit one variable statistics, you hit the number 1, you hit list 1 you want, and then you go down and you say, hey, let's calculate it. So the average age of presidents based on this list was 54.4 years of age. Okay, is that good, bad, or indifferent? I don't know. If I added up all the ages of the presidents, not using the last 2 when they took office, if I added up all their ages add up to 2,446. Now, for some demented reason, if I wanted to square 2,446, I get 134,680. What does that do for us? Nothing. But it just offers us that. This next one, we haven't talked about standard deviation yet. That's something we will get to, and it has to deal with the spread of data. And there's 2 different standard deviations that are listed. You have SX, and then you have this weird Greek letter X. Okay? One of them is the true standard deviation, meaning we're using all of the data. And one of them is we're going to use one less piece of data to do the standard deviation. Now, we haven't talked about standard deviation, so we're not going to worry about it. When we'll talk about which standard deviation to use, these are relatively close, which is fine. As far as our list goes, we have 45 pieces of data. Of course, now we are on number 47, agree? So, but we don't have all that data in there. Our minimum age looks like it was 42. And then there's some more information that we don't know necessarily what it means. There's something called Q1. Q1 is going to deal with something called the box of whiskers. We'll deal with that in a little bit. The median is also sometimes referred to as Q2, but we'll talk about that more later. But our middle piece of data right now is 54. So the median is 54. The mean, we said it was up at the top, was 54.35 or 54.4 if you round it to one decimal. So if you had 54 for a median and 54.4, that basically means that I don't have anybody who's like 100 years old as far as this list goes. Nothing's pulling it real far out. Okay. As far as the presidents go, because we have a starting age of 35 that you have to be, am I correct on that? That was something I'm trying to remember back from high school, but I realized that's like so 1989. Is it 30? I don't know.
I thought Congress was
30?
was very high.
Hang on, you got to go.
Must be at least 35 years old.
35, according to Google, like we could.
According to the government official website.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, .gov. Ooh, well, let's say fake IDs. I mean, got some 16-year-old. Yes, I'm right. Here's my ID. Be like, there was that one movie. What was that movie? The guy had a fake ID, and he's like, yeah, fake ID. Superbad, where they make your ID, make you 18. And he says, you have an ID that says why 18? Yes, I could vote. I can't remember what movie it was. Superbad? Okay. So between our mean and our median, being that they are very close, they're 0.4 off, that just means that we don't have any far off outliers that are pulling our data to the right in this case. Okay, so they're both good central measures of our age. There's no conclusions we can make based off it. It's just what our data looks like. Q3 we will talk about a little bit later. It has to do with the it has to do when we deal with box and whiskers, which we're not to yet. But then we have a maximum age of 69 years old. Okay. Biden's older than that, isn't he? How much? I don't know how old he is.
How old is he?
78. How old is the Trump? I know Trump's kind of old.
How old is he?
72, I think.
75.
75. Okay. So the last two presidents. So what did we say? Biden's how old? I'm sorry.
78.
78.
78 at inauguration.
And Trump is
75.
75.
Let's see how old
But
Trump
that's
is.
now. But that's now.
Now,
He
so
would have been 71.
okay. So we had the 71 and the 78. It would have pulled the data more to the right.
At inauguration.
Okay, but still. So being that you had somebody who was 70 and now somebody who's 78, that would have changed our mean. It would have pulled it a little bit further to the right. Okay? Now we could easily, because we you all knew that information. Let's do this. So right now we have a max at 69, and we had a median of 54. And what was our minimum? I'm sorry, I forgot. 35? We had a 35-year-old president? Oh.
42.
42 is the youngest on the. It's like,
Was it
I
Kennedy?
think it's Kennedy. Yeah.
Kennedy's the youngest president.
And then on here, Reagan is 60.
The minimum is, as far as our data was, 42. There could be.
There was a 43.
Yes. Mean and median. So the mean, how I get the mean is I add up all of the people's ages, divide by the numbers. And then the median is I just list all my data and I find the very middle data. So what I want to do is, because we know we had Trump at 70, is that right? Is that what you told me? And Biden at 78, is that right?
Yeah.
So if we have those last two pieces of data, it might not, it's going to change the median a little bit, because the median is now no longer good. The middle of our data is no longer going to be at the 54. It might change it a little bit. But the mean is definitely going to change, because now we have two ages that we're going to add in. So if I go back into my stat, and I go back into my edit, and I go to the bottom of my thing, I also could have done insert. It wouldn't have mattered. Come on, baby. Get on down there. And just, oops. Stirrup, you went too far. I know. All right. So if we add the 70 and we add the 78 in there, and then I go and I say, I want to do my one variable statistics again on that. I'm going to calculate my one variable stats. Number one, list one, calculate. So now this changes my mean. If I add these two scores in, now my mean, I never had my mean up there originally. My mean switched to 55.2. I think my original mean was 54.5, I think it was. Or 54? I can't remember.
There's some lower.
And then my median of this, so I have my, don't use this pen on the computer. My median is now 55, so the median went up, and it didn't go up because there was more ages, because the age was higher. My median went up because I added more data. Okay? And then my max would have changed to 78. My min still stayed at the 70 or 42. So the mean increased because the ages were further to the right. They were already above what the original mean was. If the ages were younger, it would have moved our mean to the left. Okay? So that's kind of a few tidbits of how to do it. Now, is it possible, and I think we saw this, is it possible that some of the news stations might have been saying a state was a winner early? And then all of a sudden they're like, uh-oh, we got more. No, that's possible. No, I'm not trying, you know me, I love conspiracies, but I'm not trying to throw conspiracy. It is possible, there's times that they've called states, hey, we declare the winner, and you have 1% of the population or the votes counted. That means 99% of the votes have been counted. So it's kind of gutsy for these news stations to say, okay, 1% of the polling places are, hey, they're declaring this person, A or B, is the winner. You're declaring a winner on 1% of the population? Yeah, it could be. Yeah, here, 0.2. Well, we're declaring person A or person B. And you're like, yeah. First, we have one vote in. They voted for person A. Person A won. Wait a minute. There's like 6.5 million people that are voting. Unfortunately, we have been impacted way too often by, I blame our news organizations first, I blame social media second, but we've been influenced and impacted by a lot of things. And again, I'm not trying to sway anyone's opinion. I'm just trying to say, I want you to, as thinkers, to sometimes realize when you're seeing things that are being projected to you, it's not how you should be concluding. It should be like, okay, that's information. That's one piece of information. And it would be like this. And I find this very sad. Does your GPA, necessary question, reflect who you are as a person? No. But doesn't it tick you off when somebody's like, oh, this kid is a 4.16 GPA. Oh, my kid's a 4.3.
Well, is the 4.3 real better than the 4.16 versus the 2.0? No! It's a snapshot of a little tiny piece of information about who that person is. Yeah. The median? The middle of our data. So if we listed all of our data, and it's in order, and we find the middle value, and if it's an even amount, you find the two middle values, add them together and divide by 2. So let's say you have like 40 and 50 are two middle pieces of data. You'd add them together, divide by 2, so 45 would be the median, which doesn't necessarily always have to be on our list. It's just that's what our middle would be. So you're just taking data and saying, I want to find the middle from it. But again, the mean and the median, the mins and the maxes, is just information. It's not for you to say, I'm going to make a larger decision based on it. And friends, I've seen this so often in education. And it's really unfortunate because school districts go and buy stuff to say, oh, look, have you seen the tutoring signs out saying guaranteed to raise your child's ACT score by 2? Yeah. Okay? Guaranteed to raise your kids. Now, here's a disclaimer with that. Here's the disclaimer. That company, if you go back and say, oh, cool, I took the ACT and I got, say, a 22 on it. I don't know. Thinking about it. And then that student goes and takes it. So, one, that organization, that tutoring organization, I'm not saying it's bad or good, what they're going to do is they're going to find out, oh, okay, you got a 22 on the first one. So let's focus on a few things that will make sure we can maybe impact your 22 a little bit to bring it up. Now, if you have a kid that walks perfect score on ACT, or best score is a 36, I believe, is that correct? Okay, if the kid walks in and got a 35, how can that tutoring